It was a quiet evening in the small town of Clearbrook. Claire Mason, a nurse in her late 20s, had just returned home after a long shift. Exhausted, she settled into bed, ready for a night of dreamless sleep. But something strange was in the air that night. Around 2 a.m., Claire was awakened by a bright, pulsing light outside her bedroom window. At first, she assumed it was a passing car or some random street light malfunction. But as the light grew stronger, she felt an overwhelming sense of paralysis. She tried to move, but her body remained frozen. Panic surged through her veins as her room filled with an unnatural hum. The next thing she knew, she was no longer in her bed. She was standing in a cold, metallic room, surrounded by strange, luminescent beings. Their large black eyes seemed to peer into her very soul, and their slender fingers moved in sync as they examined her. Claire wanted to scream, but no sound escaped her lips. One of the beings approached her and touched her forehead. Instantly, memories of her childhood flashed before her eyes, along with visions of worlds and galaxies far beyond anything she had ever known. These creatures weren't just experimenting on her body, they were diving deep into her mind. Time seemed to blur. Minutes, hours, maybe even days passed in a haze of tests and probing questions, though no words were spoken aloud. Claire felt as if they were seeking something, some hidden knowledge buried in her subconscious, but she had no idea what. Suddenly, just as quickly as it had started, it was over. Claire found herself back in her bed, drenched in sweat, her heart racing. She shot up and looked out the window, but the light was gone. The night was still again. In the days that followed, Claire struggled to piece together what had happened. Friends dismissed it as a vivid nightmare, but Claire knew better. She wasn't alone. When she began researching, she discovered forums full of others like her who called themselves abductees or experiencers. They spoke of bright lights, paralyzing fear, and strange beings conducting experiments. The details were eerily similar. As the weeks passed, Claire's experiences returned in fragmented flashes. She began to question everything, her reality, her memories, and the motives of these extraterrestrial visitors. Was it just a psychological experiment, or were they preparing for something far greater? One thing was certain, she was no longer the same person she had been before that night. And deep down she knew that the visitors would return.